Hello everyone, Miss Anna here. So we're gonna give a little bit to see, let people hop on here, and then we'll kind of jump into what we're going here. So in case you don't, make sure you have your tea. Sipping Saturday. I am drinking tea. Alright. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday. It's been a long day, but a good day. Very productive. Alright. So I guess I'm gonna just go ahead and jump on and get started. All right. So I know in the group there's a couple people that don't know me from the dance side of things. They know me more from the pageant world. So I'm going to give a brief introduction, and then we'll kind of jump into what this series is about, what we're going to talk about, and all that fun stuff. So my name is Miss Anna. I am a dance teacher. I've been a dance teacher for decades, and that is with an S, for a very long time. Dance has always been a part of my life. I was actually named Anna after Anna Pavlova, the famous Russian ballerina, so it was just kind of destined, as some people would say. So I am a national award-winning choreographer. I love choreography. I love thinking outside the box and doing all that. But I also love the teaching side of things, and so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. One of the things I've noticed over the years is, as a dance teacher, when I tell people I'm a dance teacher, I get a lot of questions of, are you like that teacher on Dance Moms? I'm like, no. The real dance world is nothing like that. And if you're in a studio where it's like that, run. Just saying. So kind of backtrack. I do have notes here, so that's why I keep looking down, and I noticed I skipped one. So we're going to jump back to that. Like I said, I've taught dance for decades. However, over the last almost 3 years, I've kind of taken a little bit of break. I had my little girl, and after having her, my body kind of reset as if I've never danced a day in my life. So and then it's right around when COVID hit. So I kind of took this time to let my body heal a little bit, and kind of physically, mentally, emotionally, I was just drained. So this was a great time for me to take a break. So this year, she's actually old enough to start dance classes, okay? And before anybody jumps in and says, are you making her take dance? No, I'm not. I've asked her numerous times, and to be honest, I was hoping she'd kick karate, pick, soccer, something other than dance, because I am very fearful of what kind of dance mom I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be too hands-on, not hands-on. That's stressing me out, but we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. So, but I wanted to make this video for new dance moms, seasoned dance moms can kind of watch. If you have any comments or tidbits you can add, just throw those in the comment. I will not be answering comments as we go, because I'm still new at the Facebook Live, and multitasking is not my strength. And we'll learn that very quickly as we go along. So with this series, over the next few weeks, I'm going to try to do this every Saturday around 7 o'clock. I don't want to pinpoint a time, just because I have a 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old, and sometimes things happen, but I'm going to try to do this every Saturday, and it's going to be a couple weeks. I think I got at least probably 7 or 8 main topics that we'll talk about, and hopefully it will help. If you have questions, like I said, put it in the comments, send me a message. I'd be happy to help you, talk you through it, kind of give you whatever you need. So tonight we're going to do how to pick the right dance studio, because this is the time of year where you're signing up for dance classes. So this is a good time to kind of start thinking about that. A lot of dance studios, their seasons run from about September to May, June-ish. So this is definitely the time to get in there, get signed up, take a look, figure out all that fun stuff. So next week we're going to talk about the first day of dance class, kind of what to expect, how to do that. We'll talk about dress code and class attire. I think those are very important topics. It's a little bit on the controversial side right now, but we'll kind of talk through that and how that all works out. The next week we'll talk about teacher passion, because I know sometimes people are, man, you're a little crazy. So just kind of get a little insight of why we are the way we are. Your role as a parent, when a teacher asks to speak to you, kind of how to handle that, and then also when to speak to your teacher about moving your child up to the next level kind of class. The week after that, we'll talk about, is dance really for your kid? When to drop and when to take up something new. We'll cover a whole week or a whole session, I guess, on competitions. We'll do one on performances, recital prep, recitals, and when to invest in dance conventions, workshops, auditions, those kind of things. And then the last week I kind of left it as an odds and end random questions. So as we go along, if you guys have questions, I'll kind of combine all those into one last final episode. All right, so let's just jump in. How to pick the right dance studio. So the first thing to do is breathe, okay? And like I said, I'm stepping into the new role of dance mom, so this is a new adventure for me too, and it can be very overwhelming, especially if you live in a town that has multiple dance studios. It's kind of who, what, where, when. On a side note, if you are in a studio that has, or if you're in a studio, if you're in a town that only has one studio, one thing I want to kind of mention or touch on is a lot of times people, if you know the dance teacher, like say you guys went to high school together and now it's time for your little girl and she wants to dance really bad, but you and the teacher kind of never got along, that kind of thing, set that aside, okay? There are so many times where the dance parent and I did not see eye to eye, we did not click, but the kid, I absolutely love the kid, okay? So don't hold your kid back because of your beef kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there for the smaller towns. Just set it aside, let your kid do their thing, let them enjoy it, and it's going to open a whole new world. So just throwing that out there. Anyway, so next thing, types of studios, okay? There are recreational studios. These are your studios that do 30-minute classes up to probably about 2 hours, and a lot of times all the kids are in one class and they progress together. And these are the ones that just kind of once a week come in, do their thing, and they leave, and that's it. They'll have maybe a show at the end of the year, maybe, or it's just a little 8-week class. So we kind of refer those to as recreational, and there's pros and cons to each one of these studios. And also, I meant to say this at the beginning, these are my personal opinions. These are not the opinions of the whole world, so just take it as it is. Like I said, got the experience, but it is what it is. The next studio is a competitive studio, okay? So these are the ones where you are living at the studio, and I'm not being exaggerate with that. You are living at the studio. Kids are eating dinner there, they're doing homework there, they're there 3-4 times a week, you're there doing costumes and that kind of stuff. It's also a lot of money for the competitive studios. I want to throw that out there. And when you're looking at competitive studios, look at their photos of their competition team. So, and I'm going to say this because there's different types of competitive, and we'll touch on this when we talk about competitive studios. Like I said, we'll have a whole episode on that. But when you're looking at the pictures, look at what they're wearing, okay? Because this is a big reason why I stepped back from the competition world, because I did not like the way it was moving in some of the bigger competitions. So I kind of stepped back and was like, that's not for me. So for my personal opinion, I'm more of a modest person. I like my dancers clothed, for lack of a better word, and there's nothing against the other studios. I'm going to say that right now. I have seen girls win completely covered in a unitard, and I have seen girls win wearing hardly anything. That is your option, your thing. But I do want to point out to parents, look at the studio, look at what those kids are wearing in the photos, and decide if that's something that you want your child to do. I've had many times where people will come to the studio and they're doing competition, and then I pull out the costumes and they're like, why aren't they wearing what everybody else is wearing? That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I want to project as far as my choreography teachers and that kind of stuff. And so that's just something to think about and look at. So I'm not saying anything against either or. It's your preference, okay? And that's just the way it is. But look at that so you're not blindsided by that when a teacher comes out with a costume and they're either covered head to toe or the opposite, okay? And like I said, I have seen top winners wear both. So the costume, that's a whole other topic. But anyway, so just be aware of that when you're looking at competition. And it's a lot of money and a lot of time. So if that's something that you're ready to jump into, go for it, because competition has a lot of benefits. And like I said, we'll talk about that in another video. Then there's your average studio. So your average Midwest studio, like, I keep saying Midwest because I'm not talking about like New York, LA, those kind of studios. I'm sure there's a whole nother ballgame for these. These are your, smaller town, small city, those kind of studios. So your average studio, they might have a competition team, but it's kind of a smaller competition team. It's not their main focus. They do kind of local holiday performances, parades, that kind of thing. That, like I said, that's your average studio. So those are the ones where some girls are coming once a week and some girls are coming every night of the week. So it just depends on what your preference is and that kind of thing. And then the one thing I have that I don't think a lot of people think about, just because not the average person's a dance teacher, is look at the strength of the studio. So some studios are really, really strong in ballet. Some studios are really, really strong at tap. Some are really, really strong in contemporary. So kind of look at that. If you're, and this is more for kind of if your kid's a little bit older, like 7 or 8, and they're just starting. Because if your kid is like, oh, I want to be a dancer, I want to grow up, I want to be on all the TV shows, and I want to be on Broadway, and I want to do all this stuff. Look at what the studio is focused on. And I'm going to say this, and people are going to scream, but it is what it is. Ballet is the foundation of dance, okay? That is where you're going to get all your technique. That's where you're going to get all the building blocks for your dance career. So if you don't have ballet, you're going to end up eventually down the line probably hurting yourself, or the dancer will end up hurting themselves because they don't have the foundation. And that's one of the biggest things I see is kids are, oh, my kid can do 50 turns and they can kick their head. And I'm like, yeah, but they can't do a proper plie. So they're going to have bad knees when they're 16, 17 years old. And that's not good. So ballet is your foundation, and then go from there. So I highly recommend, if your if your dancer is wanting to go off into the dance world when they're done, they want to go to college and dance, they want to do all this stuff, make sure they are taking ballet. Okay? I will say that until the day I die. Ballet, ballet, ballet. And then they can do all the other fun stuff. And ballet will actually help with the other things. So off that soapbox, the next thing I have, okay, now this is another thing that people are going to be like, what? If they are not doing competition dance or competitive dance, and I'm going to say that again, if they are not doing competitive dance, and we will talk about this in that competition video, if they are not doing competitive dance, they can go to more than one dance studio. I know, right? The town that I grew up in, it was this studio against this studio and this and that. It was like these rivals, and we're like, ooh, they go there. And as I got older, I'm like, why? Because our studio was good in one area, the studio was good in another area. So why weren't we taking turns and trying different things at different studios with different teachers? If your student's wanting to go and expand and learn and do that, the more teachers that you can get them under and study under, the better they're going to be. They'll be able to better adapt. So when they go to the auditions and there's a strange teacher yelling out different dance terms than they're used to, they can adapt to it a lot quicker. But like I said, that's if they're not doing competitive dance, okay? And then if you're going to do that, pick one as the main studio, and that's the one you'll do the recitals to and all that stuff. And then the other one can just be go where you kind of learn and go like that. Yes, Melissa, I just saw that. More diversity, yes. The more, the better, okay? Only if they're not doing competition. Okay, the next goal, or the next thing. The next thing to think about when you're trying to pick a dance studio is, what are your goals as a parent? So the first part is, if your kid's between kind of 3 and 6, what are you as a parent wanting? Are you wanting them to do this as their competition? So I know growing up we had to do one physical activity and we had to do one musical instrument up until we got to high school, and then we kind of narrowed it down. So if you're wanting your kid to be competitive and this is their thing, kind of think about that. And to jump on that, I should have done the competitive dance first, because that seems to be what I keep going to. If your dancer is wanting to do competitive dance, get them in young. And the reason I say that is because younger dancers are fearless. I've had dancers backstage, the 4 and 5 year olds, and I'm having to hold them because they're wanting to get on stage. They're ready to dance. And I'm just holding them like, okay, your turn's coming up. Hold on. And they were ready to get out there. So that's another thing to think about. If you're wanting to do the competition route, get them in the younger you can. That gets them out there while they're still fearless. They don't have that stage fright, and it will go a lot smoother and easier. The older they are, the more stage fright I see, the harder it is. I got some stories on that one. So just another thing to think about. Also, back to the goals, kind of what are you wanting for your dancer? Are you wanting them to learn how to stand in line and just listen and stop licking the windows? Or I had a student licking her sister all through class. So kind of what are you wanting out of that kind of thing? So that's going to kind of gear what studio you're going to go to. And then if your child, about six is probably when they're getting there, talk to them. What are they wanting? Do they want to do competition? Because that's a lot of time. That's a lot of stuff they're going to miss with their friends. A lot of sleepovers they're going to miss. They're going to miss out on a lot of things that their friends are doing. However, there's a lot of benefits that they're going to get from that. So talk to your kids when you're doing the competition route and make sure that that's something that they want to do and they want to commit to. The next idea on that is, once you decide kind of what avenue you want to go down, do your research. I feel like a cheer coach right there. Research, okay? Get on Facebook, look at their website, talk to other parents who are currently going to that dance studio. And the reason I say that is you are going to find the sour apples, okay? You're going to find those people, my kid went to this studio, but then blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times what we find out is they left out the piece where, okay, your kid was kicked out of the dance team, but she went to 1 out of 7 rehearsals. Okay, so they tend to leave out parts of that. So if you're talking to somebody and it's just negative, just kind of let that go out. And the same goes for dance parents who are super excited about a dance studio. They're like, oh my God, you got to take your kid here. You got to take your kid here. You got to take here. Because I've learned that those parents are usually the ones who have the kid that's the top dancer, winning all the awards, all that kind of stuff. So you got both ends going. So try to find those parents that are in the middle, and that will be kind of where you can get a better idea of like, okay, this is how we're going, this is what we're going to do. So kind of take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because you're going to have those sour apples and you're going to have this. So, and kind of going along with the sour apples, just letting you know, when you change dance studios, dance teachers talk. We talk to your other dance studios. So when you're telling us that you didn't blah, 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 and then we call them and they're like, oh, well, they didn't pay for the last 6 months. We know that. So just know that the dance world is very small, especially in the Midwest. I don't know how many times I've gone to a dance competition and my former students are sitting there as judges, or, you know, they're running the workshops, and I'm like, oh, I know that person, okay? So it's a small world, so just be a heads up on that. But like I said, talk to your kids, see what they want to do, talk to parents that are currently going there, and kind of gauge that as well. And then the last thing I have in that category is go to the studio, okay? That will help you see how far it is from your house, because you might be making that trip 6 or 7 times a week. Is it clean? That's a big thing to me. You know, if they're dance, like I said, is my life. So I make sure the area is clean, we're organized, everything going. So if you go in there and they've got stuff all over the place, most likely that's how they're running their business as well. So just throwing that out there. Now, there are some studios that are smaller because we're just happy to have space a lot of times when it comes to dance. So they might not have all the storage space to put stuff, but they can still put it nice and neat. But if you see there's stuff everywhere and they have storage, just a heads up on that. And then look at how it's decorated. You know, you can tell the kind of the vibe they got. If it's all these edgy black and white pictures and they got all these cool hip dancers, that's going to be the style of dance they do. If they have all the sweet little teddy bears and tutus and that kind of stuff, that's going to be more of your sweet down home studio. So just kind of look at how they have it decorated. If they're top to bottom trophies, that's all they got, that's all they care about. So just throwing that out there. So look at the studio. How is it decorated? How is it set up? That kind of thing. So once you narrow it down, okay, I found this studio, this is it, I think this is what we're going to do. Go to the open house, okay? Ask to meet with the owner and the teacher. Usually they'll both be there, especially if it's an open house, okay? And do this before the first class, okay? This is especially important for new students, okay? If this is your 7th year, you're good, okay? But if this is your first year or they're getting a new teacher this year, definitely go to the open house or ask to meet up with the teacher. Now, A lot of times studios, the teacher will be in and out before, so they might be able to say, hey, I can meet you Saturday at 3. Don't expect them to drop everything they're doing and come meet you at your time and your convenience, okay? Because a lot of times dance teachers, this is their second or third job, okay? This isn't, they're busy. They've got families. They've got a life. So don't expect them to drop everything for you, okay? And we're going to jump into a side thing here. When it comes to the schedule and you're looking at the dance schedule, do not go up to the owner and say, hey, Susie here has cheer on this night. Can you move this class to another night? Don't be that dance mom. Don't. When it comes to schedules, we spend hours, if not days, working on that and trying to get that figured out because we are working through our work schedules. So if you've got 5 or 6 dance teachers and an owner, we have to get all of our schedules lined up. We have to make sure somebody's always covering whatever needs to be covered. We're making sure it flows for our students so that way they can go from this class to this class to this class, and hopefully there's not a break, or in some cases there is a break so they can get a dinner break. So a lot of time and planning goes into it, okay? So don't be that mom that's like, hey, we can't do this because she's got XYZ, okay? That right there is already showing us that you do not care about her dance at all, okay? Now, there's the rare occasion, like when we put out competition stuff, sometimes if we have 5 seniors and they're like, hey, okay, 10 people in the competition team, 5 are seniors, dance mom comes up, hey, that date that you picked is our senior prom, okay? I'm gonna go back and look at the drawing board, okay? That would be me, just because like if you're in a smaller town and that's their thing, I would go back and look. If you're in a bigger city, you've got 50 plus kids on that team, the odds of that happening is you're gonna have to figure it out. So yes, Melissa, I'm right there with you. All right, so just a heads up on that. Let's see. Oh, when you meet your dance teacher, okay, so say you're at the open house and you're meeting, you're like, and I'm using Susie because I don't think I've ever had a dance tutor named Susie, so that's why I'm using that name, because I think I've had every other name. So Susie is my designated student, though I've never had a Susie. So when you're meeting the teacher, make sure you tell her if there's any kind of special, anything important that she needs to know, such as she's allergic to XYZ. Or she's on special medication, she might get tired at the end of the night, it's not you, it's this. Those are important to us. Now, don't come in with everything like she's got allergies, she's got okay, the main things. And the only reason I say that is sometimes I know I would bring in cookies or treats for my dancer. We'd be like, hey, we're gonna have a party night tonight. We're gonna dance and then we're gonna eat cookies. And so I need to know if I need to make sure that there's no peanuts or anything in it. So that's something that you need to maybe try to do it on the first day, or maybe the first 2 weeks or so, just kind of give them a heads up. So that way they're not bringing something in that's going to be an awful thing. So just a thought there. And then be prepared for extra cost when you go to sign up your kid. A lot of times studios have registration fees, and that's just kind of to cover the cost. Like teachers come to the open house, so they need to cover the cost of paying the teachers and for their time for being there. So there'll be that. There'll also be, a lot of studios might start having you pay for your recital costumes. Then they might have payment plans set up. So just be ready for that, just in case. And that really helps. So that way you're not getting a big chunk in January right after Christmas, like, oh, okay, now you got to pay $300 in recital costumes. So some studios have that set up, which is always a good thing. Let's see here. I keep losing I typed this out in like the tiniest print. I don't know why I didn't make it any bigger. All right. So just be prepared for extra costs. And then read their handbook. A lot of studios have a handbook, a guidebook, or they have kind of like rules and regulations. Read it. It is very important. There's nothing worse than getting screamed at by a parent and then you go, well, it's line 2 in our guidebook. Okay? That just saves everybody time and all that stuff. So read the guidebook, handbook. A lot of studios have attendance policies. And this comes into especially competition teams, and then when it's recital time, and we'll talk about those and why those are important later on. But attendance is very, very, very important, okay? just quickly, the reason I say that is in ballet, every week builds on the week before. So if your kid misses a week, they're missing those key pieces, okay? So we might learn 2 steps this week, and then the next week we're able to learn 3, and then we're able to go on. So if they're missing those key steps. They're missing how it's broken down, how it's done correctly. So attendance is very, very important, especially in the beginning when they're learning the steps, and then during recital when they're learning the combinations. So attendance, make sure you do that. If your studio has a monthly newsletter, please, I beg you with every ounce of my being, read it. Okay, we put a lot of information in those newsletters. It's reminding you of when tuition's due. It's reminding you of shows that are coming up. It's reminding you of extra costs that are coming up. This way you're not blindsided in December when all of a sudden you got all these fees because you're doing a Christmas show. Okay, read the newsletters. If they don't have a newsletter, see if they have a Facebook group. They might post it there. Just make sure you're always checking. You might not have to check it every week, but at least every probably month, I would say. Every month, check. Make sure you're up to date and you know what's going on. All right, the next one, payments, okay? So most likely when you go to sign up, you're going to do the registration fee, and then you're going to have to pay that first month's rent. First month's tuition, okay? Payments, and this is one of those like, oh, beg you. Payments need to be on time. If you do not think that you could say your payments due on the 1st of every month, if you don't think you can do it on the 1st of every month, start saving now so you are ahead 1 month, okay? And the reason I say this is studios do payments and paying their teachers and things differently. So there are studios that directly pay their teachers, okay? So they give them all the money that their students get, and then that teacher has to turn around and pay the rental space. They have to pay their portion of, renting the studio. So if you're late, they're late, and then eventually it trickles down, and if everybody keeps doing that, eventually you're not going to have studio space because rent's not coming in on time. Okay, so pay on time. When you don't pay on time, sometimes that means the teacher's not getting paid on time. And I know personally, I'm not going to be wanting to teach anybody's kid if I'm not getting paid on time. Like, if you don't respect me enough to do that, then okay. So make sure you're paying on time. Now, I do know that things happen, okay? Life happens, things happen. Communicate it with your studio or your teacher, whoever you're paying. Communicate. Communication is the key. It's the secret for your good relationship with your dance studio and studio. Communicate, okay? So if something happens and you can't communicate, again. I noticed I was rambling there and my mouth is getting dry. All right. After that, also one thing people don't understand sometimes is studio space. They're paying for lights. They're having to put deposits down for the recital a year ahead of time. They're having to pay insurance. So if something gets broken either on the building or a dancer, they got to have the insurance to cover that. So when you're late on your payments, that trickles down. So we don't want that. We don't need that extra stress. Studio owners don't need that. So enough on that. Okay. Once you pick your studio, start getting excited with your dancer. Okay. So once you pick it, you're like, all right, she's going to this studio. Let's do this. Okay. How you treat dance is how your dancer is going to treat dance. Okay. So if you're like, oh, Susie has dance tonight, Susie's going to go, oh, I had dance tonight. And it's going to be an epic battle for you guys. But if you're excited, she's going to be excited. Okay. Just saying. And then, parents who are involved and engaged have dancers who are involved and engaged. So a lot of studios, they'll say, hey, we need parents to volunteer for XYZ. Do it. Okay. That's going to mean a lot to your kid. Just throwing that out there. And it's going to mean a lot to your teacher too. So jump in, help, do what you can. Of course, sometimes there's not things that you can do, but at least, say hi to the teacher, acknowledge her. That's always a good thing. Okay. So be involved, be engaged. One suggestion, I guess, is start teaching your kids young about getting their dance stuff ready. And we'll talk about that next week in first class attire. but teach them how to pack their dance bag, what to put in their dance bag, get them ready. You get it engaged and excited with them too. Don't make it a chore, make it exciting. Like, this is something that they love and that they're passionate about. So feed that, help that, okay? If your studio has a dress code, order it now and try it on before class, okay? And I'm gonna just speak from experience because we just did this yesterday. So I ordered my daughter's dance clothes. This is the first time I've ever ordered dance clothes. I know my size. I've had the same leotards for decades. I'm like, I wear the same size for as long as I can think of. And I know that my shoe size is the absolute biggest that this certain company sells, so I know to order that. So when I got to my kid, I didn't know what to order. I didn't know what to size. And so I just ordered what I thought she would wear. And so we got it, and it all wrong. Her little shoe is like this big and her foot is like this big. And I was like, And then I went back and read the reviews, and every single one of them said they run small, order 2 sizes up. So if I would have done my research like I tell everybody to do, I would have known that. So that's my little tidbit. So live and learn, live and learn. We are human, we make mistakes, and we are not perfect. Just saying. So when you order the stuff, read the reviews. If they say order up, okay? But make sure you try them on before class. You don't want to be the day of and you guys are screaming and the tights are going up over her head because they're too big, and the leotard's a thong because it's too small, and the shoes are on her toes instead of her feet. So order it now, try it on, and also by doing that, it helps the dancer get excited about it. So they're just like, yay, okay, I get to try my new shoes on. Because I know my kid was so excited to put her dance shoes on, and I tried my hardest to get those babies on, and they would not go past her toes. So just throwing that out there. And then the last thing I have for when picking a dance studio is, have fun. Have fun with this. This is a new experience. I'm experiencing this on a different side, so I might be learning things. I'm going to see things from a different angle, and I'll be sharing that with you guys. I'll be like, I did not know you guys did this. I did not know this went on. Because as a dance teacher, I always kept to myself. I kind of just stayed in the dance room. I felt like that was a safer place than venturing out into the world of dance moms and dads and grandmas and all that stuff. And it was much easier for me to communicate with my dancers than it was to communicate with other adults. I don't know. It was just a weird, that might just be me. I don't know. But talk to your dance teacher. Say hi. Let them know, like, hey, I'm here. You need anything? Yeah, okay, good. So those are the dance parents that stand out to me and I still talk to today, are the ones that took the time, like, hey, are you okay? I've seen that you've been here for 6 hours. Do you need me to get you something to eat? Yes, I forgot my lunch at home. Thank you. So just doing that. So let's do a quick recap, okay? So how to pick the studio. Look at the different types of studios. What do you want to focus on? That kind of thing. Talk to your kid. What are your goals? What are you wanting to get out of this? Are you just wanting to drop Susie off for 30 minutes, pick her up, go home, and that's it? Or you want Susie to become a famous ballerina, Broadway star, or anything like that? Think about your goals and where you want to go with this. And I know it seems kind of young, but as I said, everything builds on everything with dance, okay? So, and it's a lot easier when they're younger to get them in because they're less scared. So they're more fearless, and it's easier to teach them kind of the harder stuff and go up that way. And then once you decide, do your research. Facebook is pretty good. And then be careful of the super happy and super sour. Okay, take it with a grain of salt. And then make sure you go to the open house. I cannot stress that enough. When little kids go to dance for the first time, they walk into a gigantic open space, and it can be absolutely terrifying. They're seeing kids that they've never met before. They're seeing adults they've never met before. So if you go that first night, open the door, shove your kid in, and be like, have fun, that kid's gonna be like, what in the world did you just do to me? Like, I know as an adult, I get scared going to new places with new people. So I can't imagine a little 3-year-old, you just shove them in there. So take your time, go to the studio. Look around. Let them get familiar with it. Show them where the bathrooms are. Show them if they have water fountains where the water fountains are. I would highly suggest getting water bottles for your kids just because germs, y'all. Okay? But let them see the space. Let them get used to it. So at the open house, they can kind of walk around where they might not be able to do that when classes are in session. And this also gives them a chance to see the older adults. This also gives them a chance to, a lot of times, to see the older dancers, because those dancers are going to be at the studio all the time. So this way you can kind of start meeting them and getting to know what kind of students they have there, that kind of thing. And then make sure, lastly, get excited, have fun with it. Dance is I'm so excited for a new dance season. I'm actually excited and terrified to be a dance mom. So we'll see how it goes. It is what it is. So, but I just want to, hopefully you guys found some of this information informative. Each week I'll touch on different things. If you guys have any questions, like I said, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to. Without teaching dance this year, I'm really missing teaching and sharing things. So please reach out, that kind of stuff. Next week we're going to talk about class attire, dress code, and what to expect at your first dance class. Yay! And just to back up really quick before we say goodbye, adults, this applies to you too. Adults can take dance class, and please take dance class. My mother took ballet all the way up until she was in her 60s, okay? 60s and then some. You can start dance at any time, okay? Do not let that fear. If you've always dreamed of being a ballerina, do it. Go for it. Yes, do it. Go. Enjoy. All right, guys, you have a good night, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.